Hey, how's it going? Hope you're all doing well. It's time to put a keyboard on that cockpit desk that we modded last week. So stick around, we're going to do that right after this short intro. Hey, Commander64 here, bringing you retro gaming and Elite Dangerous related content in two separate playlists. And on this rare occasion, this week's video fits into both playlists, because in fact the keyboard that I will be fitting to this space simulation cockpit will be a retro keyboard. Any guesses which keyboard I'll be using? Of course it has to be the beloved bread bin beige Commodore 64 keyboard. You've hopefully seen me playing with my beautiful Commodore 64 in the retro playlist. If you haven't, you can check that out on the channel. You may have even seen me unbox it with Mini 64 on my very first YouTube video. And you can watch that by clicking the eye at the top right of the screen there. Pre-warning, the audio is not the best quality on that video. As I said, it was the first one I ever did, and things have moved along quite a lot since then. What you won't be aware of is that me and Mini 64 actually unboxed a second C64 and filmed it, but I never actually got around to editing that particular video. But you can see it running here in the background, and this second C64 is what I'm going to be using for the keyboard on the cockpit.
What is inside of it?
And here we go. What have we got, Leia?
Computer.
That's right.
Again.
Which I think is going to give it a cool sort of retro future 80s sci-fi feel, like something from a Sigourney Weaver Alien film or something like that. So here it is now, and you can see there is some slight damage to the back. I'm missing a few screws as the fixings are broken. So if you end up doing something similar to this, hopefully you're going to have more screws to undo than I have. So there's just 3 screws to undo on the outside of the case. Here, here, and here. And let's take a closer look. Now, something to note here is that these old machines were not fans of magnetic screwdrivers. There is some debate on how much harm it does, but I have erred on the side of caution here, and I'm using my only non-magnetic tipped screwdriver, which to be honest has seen better days, but it's the only one I could find. Literally all of my screwdrivers, bar this one, are magnetic. So with those removed, I can carefully open it up, and there's a couple of things connected here, and it's all a bit dusty too, dearie me. Well, it's probably been a longo time since it's been opened up, so I suppose that's expected. Next we'll remove the lead, which is connected to the power light, and then remove the keyboard from the motherboard by disconnecting this. Now to unscrew the motherboard, again I am missing some screws as this machine is slightly bashed up. So I'm missing the screws that should be here and here, but I've got these two, and this one, and this one, and this one. Once again, I'm erring on the side of caution and not using this magnetic tipped screwdriver. I'm going to use this old bent up non-magnetic one. So I do my best to unscrew these screws without losing any of them, and I'm trying my best not to damage the motherboard, as I'm going to keep this as a spare for the one I use in the gaming room. So now let's remove the motherboard carefully, and I'll pack that away safely where it's not going to get bashed about or get wet or have any kind of magnetic stuff near it. And here's what I'm going to be using to connect this old thing to my desktop computer. It's from Amiga kit and it's called the Keyrah V2. It allows you to connect various Commodore keyboards to it and then have them output to USB. It also has the 8-pin joystick ports. So whatever you connect this to, say for example you hook it up to a Raspberry Pi and play your digitally backed up cassette tape games on an emulator, you can plug your old Competition Pro or TAC2 joysticks into these ports for a bit more authenticity while you're playing. But today I'm literally just going to be hooking this up to my desktop computer as a USB keyboard. Putting this in is an absolute doddle. 2 screws to hold it into place here and here. So now I can bring back the top of the Commodore with the keyboard still fitted to it. And in this close-up you can clearly see written text next to the keyboard ports where you can plug in either your Commodore 64 or VIC-20. Your next one along is the Commodore 16 and the Plus 4. And then you have Amiga's 600 and 1200. And the only thing you have to do after this is to use this guide to arrange the pins into the right combination to let the Keyrah know which keyboard you're using. So I'll pop the power light lead into here, and the keyboard connection, you can clearly see there's a bunch of holes here where the pins go in, and then there's a gap where there's no hole here. So it's easy, you can really easily see how it fits on. You can't go wrong with this. And then you're pretty much done, except I forgot to add one last thing. It also comes with this nice little plate to go over the external ports. So just quickly unscrew the Keyrah, pop this under. And screw it back down. And then close up the Commodore. Power light lead wants to stay out and play apparently, but let's just put you back in. And then look how nice and tidy that looks. I mean, sure, the USB is not totally flush, it's still circular like it would be where the power would usually go there. But it looks like the original panel. And most importantly, it's something you can fit into your Commodore without having to saw it up or drill holes into it and leave it looking like it's been abused. Right, so we've got the keyboard on the desks now, and there's going to be a few differences. One thing to note, there is an emulation switch here. It's where the power switch would have been, and when that switched the red light on, that means this is now acting as a Commodore keyboard. So if you're using something like Vice or any other kind of Commodore emulator and you're going to use one of these on it, you want to flick it down so you get your red light on. We don't need the red light for this, so we're just going to switch it to the up position. I think there might be a third position, but I'm not sure about that. No, it seems to be just 2. Right, so there's going to be some differences. Right off the bat, you're missing some F keys. So we've got F1, F3, F5 and F7, and you would usually click your shift, I think, to get to F2, F4, F6 and F8. Not sure that that works, to be honest with you. So you're going to need some supplement keys or use your on-screen keyboard. To get to your on-screen keyboard, all you need to do is click in here and go on-screen keyboard. There it is. Click that, you've got all your buttons there. The next thing that you will be missing is your numpad. You've still got your numbers here, and you're missing your directional keys as well. You've got your cursors here. They might work. Let's open a notepad and see what keys we've got. So obviously we've got all of our numbers there. We've got our plus key is an equals, our minus key is a dash, and if we do that with shift, that's plus and lower dash. Let's shift all these keys up here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So they are slightly different to what's on the keyboard here, obviously. What's written here, for example, is it parentheses or those are 8 and 9 as they're written on here, but they're actually 9 and 0. At, as it's written on the keyboard here, is actually hashtag. Shift and at is that squiggly thing. Equals, that's an apostrophe. Shift and equals is the at. So maybe that's something to do with American keyboard settings. Maybe I can change that within Windows. Up and I don't know if that's the pi symbol I've got there on the Commodore. Doesn't appear to do anything. No, that's not really doing anything as far as I can see. The pound sign. That doesn't do anything either. Okay, let's try the cursors. Let's just do some things and try and move around them. Right, okay, cursor's not actually moving. So that's, yeah, your directionals aren't there. Cursor right is moving, but shift and cursor right does not go left as it would on a Commodore. It selects the text. I wonder how that would differ if I switched it to emulation mode. It's the same, no difference. What else have we got here? Your Commodore key, what does that do? Actually, no, it's selecting file up there. Yeah, that's what it's doing. So it's giving me access to the menu. So if I'm just in desktop, that's not doing anything. So I have no Windows key either. So I'm going to need to select that with the mouse. So yeah, when I make my button box, some of the buttons that I have, I am going to be programming or using as the missing keys on the keyboard. So I'll have a full keyboard. I'll have to put descriptions of everything. So I'll put my F buttons down here, but they'll be lightly push buttons. So the overall message is, if you're going to be using a Commodore 64 as your USB keyboard for your desktop computer, you're going to be missing some keys, and some keys are going to be different as to what is written on the keys. So you will have to figure out something like a one-handed keyboard using the on-screen keyboard. What I'm going to be doing again is to be using my button box as a keyboard as well. So that will fill up all the missing keys that I have. So let me know what you think about using this Commodore 64 keyboard as part of my cockpit. Are you digging the retro sci-fi feel, or is that not something that interests you? Let me know in the comments down below. Have a great day, keep gaming, and this is Commodore 64 signing off.